This episode is sponsored by Zola. To create your free wedding website on Zola, go to zola.com/braincandy. And this episode is brought to you by Care.com. To save 30% off a Care.com premium membership, visit Care.com/braincandy when you subscribe. Welcome.
Let's diddly do this.
Did you steal my pen?
No, this is mine.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was really certain that there was a burglary.
And that would be me. I'm usually a pen thief, but now I'm very picky about the pens that I use. So,
yes. Welcome everyone to 240. We both have pens, and we're ready for the show. First order of business. How's your ganglion spider bite?
Oh my God, Suze.
Situation.
This was such an adventure.
Only you would call it that.
Okay. And then I feel like only something like this would happen to me. It's the weirdest thing. Like I don't go to the doctor for regular things. I don't get colds. Mm-hmm. I get weird, bizarre bumps. And I just thought it was so funny because on my way here, I was listening to that episode where we talked about growths on the body and how like people who have tumors and things that they don't notice. Oh, I noticed. I kicked my feet up while we went on this little Duffy boat ride with my family while they were here. I kicked my feet up and I like rest them on the seat. And I go, man, isn't the ankle bone a funny looking thing? And then I went, wait a sec.
The one.
It really happened like that where I went, wait a sec. And then my mother-in-law, she's not really my mother-in-law. My father-in-law's new wife. What would that be? My stepmother-in-law?
Yeah.
Okay. She was like, okay, I know a lot of things, and I don't know a lot of things, but I know that that's not normal. So then I went through every single possible. It was a weekend of Googling things that I very much regret Googling.
Yeah, big
MRSA,
MRSA.
common spider bites, and their infections in Southern California. I learned that we should all really be freaked out about the hobo spider. Don't worry, it's not that. So
false alarm.
The reason why it threw everybody off. So I end up going to urgent care because I freak out and I'm like, it's MRSA. It's definitely MRSA. This is my whole body's infected and my toe is tingly. So I'm like, okay, that's probably obviously spider poison. Yeah. That's the venom.
Spider poison.
Obviously the venom. I feel fine though, but there's a bump and I'm like, what the fuck? So I go to urgent care. Urgent care doctor is like, beats me.
Yeah.
Your guess is as good as mine.
You know that Jerry Seinfeld bit where, like, in commercials, you see the guy with the silhouette, and there's just a tube running from his neck down into the circle. And like the bad doctors, they just think that's the whole body. I don't know what that is because that's not the tube or the circle.
That's exactly what this guy was. He's like, well, we'll just give you a shot in your butt and a shot of antibiotics. We'll give you a strong antibiotic in your bum. And
why did it have to be in the bum, though?
I think they just needed a large muscular area. And they took
like,
one look at my backside and were like, we know where we put in this.
Okay.
So the thing that threw the doctor off, though, that I later found... Okay. So then, flash forward, it's been 24 hours, and this thing has not gone down a little bit.
Right.
Not even a bit. So I call my brother, who's a firefighter, and I was like, they do emergency stuff, so it's a spider bite. He's going to know, like, what to do if it's, like, something I should be. I don't fucking know. So he's like, just take 2 Benadryl and see what that does. Now, this is the same day that I have to go see all my clients. So I took 2 doses of Benadryl and then waited.
Are you crazy?
I had a 5-hour in between, but I don't even think 5 hours is enough because...
Were you looping it?
I can't say I was looping it, but I won't make that mistake again. I mean, I was like trying to focus. I was trying to stay awake.
Yes.
I was so exhausted. So then nothing ever happens. It goes, and I'm like, okay, I'll call my dermatologist. Because I'm like, I don't know, it looks like a skin thing.
You have a lot of doctors.
I don't. I have one urgent care that I had to look for and a dermatologist.
All right. And your brother.
And my brother. Okay. And so I called the dermatologist and I'm like, okay. Well, before this, I should say, my mom has now diagnosed me.
Wait.
Yes.
Wait, before you say it.
Yes.
So, anytime anything happens to Sarah, whether I like it or not, I'm involved. Because people start texting me, they start calling me. sending me DMs. Like, as if I'm some sort of, like, bridge to you,
Yes.
right?
The liaison.
So I get this message in response to the picture I posted on story of me in that blue bathing suit, okay?
Okay.
And it's from your mother.
Oh, God.
And under that picture, the comment is, "It's not a spider bite." That's the whole thing. And then I wrote back, "Well, what is it?" "It's a ganglion cyst. Smash it with a book." And I'm like, oh my God, those things are beast. She's had a bad streak lately with this stuff. And then she wrote, "Body in protest, ... 2.
What
And I'm
was
like, I
that? I don't know.
And I'm wondering, is she also telling Sarah, or is this just between she and
I was like, what's my body protesting?
I mean, it went on and on. I could read the rest privately, but like,
Oh my God.
she thinks it's like some big thing, like the universe, like your body's saying no to something.
What does it not want?
You have to translate it because I don't
Dude,
understand.
I never
at
know.
all. But I
Well.
love the idea that she's like Dr. Bombay. Like, she's like, smash it with a book.
Right? Exactly.
But-
Which apparently is the old-timey suggestion for how you cure this. So I go to the dermatologist. But first I call the dermatologist and I'm like, here's what I have.
Yeah.
It's a ganglion. Now, you know me. I have now done all of my research.
And you know what you are? Smarter than your doctor now.
Totally. I did I read, like, I PubMed searched that shit. You know, we're talking real medical journals, you know?
Yeah.
I learned what aspirating assist was, which I didn't need to know before. And I also now know that they need people to really translate those when they write them in, like, common, language.
Yeah.
Because boy, oh boy, are those hard to read. So,
boy.
yeah. So I call the doctor. I'm like, do you take care of this? The girl on the phone's like, yes, we absolutely do that. I get to the dermatologist.
Yeah.
They take one look at it, and he goes, I don't do this. You need an orthopedic surgeon.
Come on.
And I was like, oh, my God. So in 5 minutes, I walk out of there, and they go, that'll be a $60 copay.
And did you tell them what to do with it?
So I get in the car, and I'm driving around the car, and I'm just feeling like, God, you know what? This does not sit right with me. I need to
Stop being polite.
Amen, sister.
Yes.
I did it. And I called him back and I was like, I am so sorry, but like, do you remember I called yesterday and I made a point to have the person who answered the phone ask the doctor, is this something that you are able to take care of? I have very limited free time in my schedule where I can go and sit at these appointments. And I came in with the only
who's made of money anyway?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like just supposed to be okay with you gave me no referrals, no nothing. You said, hey, you just need to call this guy. Fuck that. Sorry, Linda.
I feel like Linda runs that doctor's office.
She does. She was totally that one.
Yes.
And
They gave you your money back?
yes.
Good.
So they credited me and they gave me my money back. And you know what? She was fine with it. She was like, you know what? I believe that was a new girl who answered. In fact, I remember when the girl who answered came and asked me, do we take care of that? And I told her to say, the doctor would have to look at it. We can't make any diagnosis
Thank
over the phone,
you.
da-da-da. But she didn't translate that in the
Okay,
right
good.
way.
I'm glad
So
you
she
handled
recognized it was bad. I got my money back. And then I went to a foot and ankle gal.
Oh, we all saw.
Yes, you did.
I mean, that was a bold choice. I thought, wow, this is what she chooses to do with her social media.
Oh, well, I had to because I'm like, they've been on board for this whole ride. They have to see the conclusion, which was not a conclusion. We now know is a to be continued.
It's back.
It came back.
It's back and bigger
Oh
than
my
ever.
God, Suze. I feel like we're going to have a spin-off show, me and this guy, which Landon and I have named Milton. I've already written the jingle to the theme song in my head.
So you and the ganglion
Me and the gang, Milton.
Milton
Yeah.
will be maybe you'll be like a crime-fighting duo.
I got a friend that you might want to know. He lives above my right big toe. He went away,
Stop
but then he
it.
came back the next day. His name is Milton. He's my ganglion cyst.
No.
That's our theme song.
No.
Yes.
You are a musical genius.
Well, I mean, it came to me in the middle of the night, and I just started giggling, and I was like, I'll be sharing this one with Susie. His name is Milton. He's my ganglion cyst.
I like that big finish.
Yeah.
That was
I'm going Golden Girls style singing in the background. It needs
which
to be
there should be more of.
Agreed. Let us start with, and then like the open with like the music, and it's just like the picture of the outside of our house.
Are you
and then
guys
it
like
goes
best
in and-
friends though? Or?
I feel like it's like the Odd Couple.
Yeah.
You know, and like I really want him out of here, but he's like, here to stay, sister.
You want him out of here. You're stuck with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really making high heels. Oh my God. And I only have like 3 pairs of pants that are appropriate to cover it. It looks like a growth. I mean, I can't sit in a therapy office while I'm giving therapy to somebody when I got Milton growing on my freaking foot. He's the loudest one in the room.
Yeah, he's a real distraction.
So can't happen. So I got to wear these like big flowy pants, and I only have like 3 pairs of those. So now I'm like wearing the same 3 outfits every day.
Well, and you definitely can't wear your Rothy's because they would, bring attention to the foot.
And I'm really upset about this because those are my go-to work shoe. Hello.
Yes, Rothy's are so comfortable.
Have you guys got yours yet?
Yes, I feel
Have they?
Yes, they keep
good.
sending pictures. These Rothy shoes are so comfortable, but in fact, somebody asked on our Instagram, they were like, come on, what's the deal? Are they worth it? I'm like, are you kidding me? They're comfortable, they're chic, and you can clean them in your washer.
And I really feel good that they're made out of plastic bottles.
Yeah, it's a really great choice because they're made out of recycled plastic, and so they're good for the environment, but you can wash them so if they get funky, they're good as new as soon as you wash them. Mm-hmm. They have 3 styles. They have the flat, the point, and the loafer, but then they have like a million designs and
so
colors.
many. And cool patterns. There's the snake print one. Oh my gosh, that's in the cute green loaf. It's like a green color, and it's kind of like a...
That's
Oh,
adorable.
it looks so cool. It's really cool.
We love our Rothy's, and they're really comfortable, especially if you go to work and you don't want to wear heels, but you want to look fancy and beautiful. Or just when you're walking around town. I love my Rothy's. I know you will too. Right now, Rothy's has an amazing deal for our listeners. Go to rothys.com/braincandy and you get free shipping, no minimum. Free shipping and free returns and exchanges on your Rothy's shoes. You won't want to return them though.
No.
Go to rothys.com, rothys.com/braincandy to get your cute shoes and free shipping. No brainer, shoes that are comfortable, stylish, and sustainable, and free shipping. Get your pair today, rothys.com/braincandy. Get this deal while it lasts. And Sarah, you can't have mango.
Oh my God, do you see me go for it? I was like, I forgot what we were doing right here. I went, like, Susie made this delicious bowl of mango with the chili lime on it and salt, and it's so tasty.
good.
And then I went to go reach for it, like, we're just hanging out, chit-chatting at brunch over here.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Because they're not, people won't even hear it.
Mango's a soft food. It's not very crunchy.
I'm just glad you're okay and that,
Oh, I'm fine. I'm ready for the next adventure.
That you might have to have surge.
Yeah, that's the only way to get rid of this. So I'm having a friggin' MRI done on my foot
boy.
on Monday. What?
Like, do they have to ask you if you're pregnant? Like, what if you're pregnant?
They did.
And you said no.
Well, no, you know what? They did when I got my antibiotic shot. And the only thing is, it's way too early to really tell.
Yeah.
I'm still about
'Cause when you're
a
trying-
week before my missed period.
Right.
So they still did a pregnancy test on me, which they were like, oh, it's negative. And I'm like, well, yeah, probably. And also maybe, so
That's
it's like
the
a double,
That's another thing people don't talk about a lot with fertility and when you're really trying and having to go through like tracking your ovulation, all that stuff, is how, a lot of stuff you're not supposed to do when you're pregnant.
Right. A lot.
And can also affect like conception and in those early few days where like, and it,
I really feel,
you constantly have to think about it.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was feeling kind of preggers too. So I was like,
well, maybe you are still.
Yeah,
it's not
I'm
like
going
that.
to keep my fingers crossed.
I mean,
right.
It's not a death sentence.
Right. It's good. It'll be fine. It'll be great. Whatever. But you do think about how many things you're like, oh my God, can I not?
I was going to say it's a pain in the ass, but that is so hilarious because it literally was a pain in the ass when you got a shot in your butt.
It was. And that hurts.
You'd think it wouldn't, but it does.
It hurts way bad.
And don't people have to do shots in their thighs for a lot of the fertility stuff too? I bet that hurts.
There's something. Okay, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What's more disgusting? Something going in or something coming out via needle?
Ugh, I gotta say, coming out.
I did both in the last 48 hours, and I'm not quite sure.
It does.
Yeah, but seeing something come out really makes you
maybe
feel
get a relief.
like this one kind of did give you, like, she and I both were like, oh, that was satisfying.
Yeah, your noises on the Insta story were like, oh yeah.
Because hers were like that. She was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're okay.
I'm glad
for
I found a
you.
lady doctor.
Yeah.
Because my original dermatologist, who was a man, pulled up a picture of hey, you can go to one of these, and it was like that game of Guess Who with only white men.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and I even said that. The woman who was the RN was a woman of color, and I was like, wow, a bunch of white guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, great. Which one
Right.
should I pick? And so then found this woman. And
Thank heavens.
Yes. And I was like, yes, lady.
This is changing the subject. However, it does include issues about white people. Mm-hmm. I read the best article in the New Yorker about how the last Wizard of Oz Munchkin died.
Oh.
98 years old.
Whoa.
I know. And for little people, that's a really
That's
long...
a long life.
Yeah,
That's a long life for any size person.
True. But they die earlier usually. Yeah. It was such a great article. I'll put it in the newsletter. Some of the things that were interesting were, first of all, at the time that film was made, being a little person, of course, was even more stigmatized than it is now. And parents would try desperately to undo it. So they'd put them on stretching machines.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And they would, you know what I mean?
Oh, I just couldn't imagine that. I've even heard of that, the leg stretching where they get the surgeries to... No.
Yeah, they would overfeed them. They would do all this stuff. And so a lot of the Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz had endured really difficult family lives and personal lives. And so when they were cast in the film, and you know how it was, they were always cast as friggin' Munchkins, not real people.
Yeah.
But they were so happy to be around other people. Many of them had never even seen another little person in their whole life.
Oh, yeah.
And they arrived on set, and some of them just started weeping, and they just felt such joy.
I love that.
And they would think, wonder if they like the same food. They wondered, am I similar to them in other ways by just in what I look like?
This is this can be applied to so many different people who feel marginalized.
Right.
I mean, that is the feeling. That's why representation matters.
Yes, because when you're the other,
Yes,
which I'm never the other,
right,
and so
obviously
I
same.
can only try to empathize and understand, and that's why articles like this are so cool, because we all freaking love The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of information about it that you maybe never thought of.
Yeah.
Another thing that was really cool was that weird thing though was Judy Garland in an interview said that they were a bunch of drunks and that they were having orgies at the hotel.
Well, what I could imagine is if you are the kind of person who's felt like they were always the other, and I don't think that alcohol is it's not an unusual coping mechanism of choice.
I'd be drinking too.
So I think that you probably
I
just
am
see
drinking.
a higher rate of that with, people who would, I don't know. I just feel like that can be easily explained because of how society friggin' treats them.
And
I would totally drink too.
Well, they talked about how after the main people from The Wizard of Oz died, Judy died at a very early age.
Yeah.
Bert Ward, who played the Cowardly Lion, and other people, Margaret Hamilton. Then people still wanted to talk to people from The Wizard of Oz, so then they started getting interviews.
Gross.
And they would always be asked, hey, Judy said you were a bunch of drunks having orgies. And they would always have to be that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We were just happy to be together, and there were a couple bad seeds.
And you know what? They probably didn't invite Judy, who had a stick up her bum, over to the parties, and she got all butthurt.
Judy was an alcoholic. I don't know what she's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Projecting.
Okay.
You know what you can do with your slippers.
Yeah.
But so anyway, then it also talked about how when Wizard of Oz and Willy Wonka, who had the Oompa Loompas.
Oh, yeah.
Then there became all these people who pretended to have been in those movies.
Oh, who were little people?
Yeah, because they said...
Oh, and nobody's really going to look into...
we'll just take your word for it.
Let's see your IMDb.
Because back then...
Right.
And
just you fit the part.
Yeah. And
literally.
And so there were all these frauds, and people would come out and be well, listen, once I said that, then people didn't look at me as a freak anymore. They loved me. And I thought that was compelling. And one problem, though, was that, and I never thought about it, there were not any black little people represented. And that was intentional. That they thought in a magical world, there wouldn't be people
gross.
of color. Yeah. And also they didn't include people that had dwarfism that looked odd in
different.
Comparison to the ones that have the features that are similar to a
just
full
smaller
size.
like versus the shorter limbs.
Isn't that interesting?
It doesn't
Or are you
surprise
bored?
me. No, I'm just like...
She's like, yes, it was a good story.
No, I find it super interesting. And like, I can understand all of the I can't understand... Well, I mean, actually, for the time, the people who made the
it was a long time ago.
You know,
but still, a really great article. And
at first, I was going to say maybe it had something to do with black and white, it being a movie in black and white, but that part was in color.
It sure was.
So couldn't use that as the excuse.
No, that was intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But also, I wanted to talk about a really great story about my bra.
Oh, tell me. Preach.
It's freaking great.
It's adorable. That's for one. And I bet it fits perfect.
I love my Third Love bra. Have you guys tried it yet? They're the ones that have all the different sizes and the half sizes, cup sizes A through H, bands up to 48 for larger sizes. A lot of women fall in those standard, in between the standard sizes, so they have something for you. I've been so impressed, too, with the undies that I told you about.
Good.
And the other stuff as well. I thought that they were strictly bras, so that was news to me. And it is so comfortable. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. I wear that one. Oh, and I ordered 2 more.
Yeah.
Was like...
What colors did you get?
Black and nude.
Yeah. I got to get a black one.
I got the black razorback
okay.
one. It's because what they do that I really love is they give you the specific bras that would be best for your build. So I have not as big of boobs, but a wider chest. Like I'm pretty wide.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of cuts of bras that just cut into this, little arm chub part, and they know which ones fit well. And those racerback ones are really good for me. And then their classic t-shirt bra is the best for me.
Yeah.
Really, I should have just gotten another one of those because the one that I wear is... I'm wearing it all the time.
Third Love knows there's a perfect bra for everyone, as Sarah said. So right now they're offering our listeners 15% off your first order. Go to thirdlove.com/brain now to find your perfect fitting bra. You can take that quiz and get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/brain for 15% off.
Speaking of brain.
Yes.
I read this article,
yes.
And at first I thought this was one of those, okay, this headline is just going to be to catch, clickbait, whatevs. It's probably loosey-goosey research anyway.
Yeah.
So the article title is Neckties Cutting Off Blood Circulation to the Head. Something along those lines.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. I don't know about this one at all. So I went and I researched it and I looked at the original article of where it came from. Suze.
You have got to be kidding me.
It's not only is it true, but it's more true than the article even leads on.
What?
Okay, so here's what they did. So they researched, and the study has been repeated like 3 or 4 times because I even looked at the references, that the article cited, and I clicked on those articles, and I looked at those articles that had the same findings. Oh my gosh, there's really something to this.
What?
So it's called the cerebral blood flow, and what a tie has the effect of doing is it cuts off the cerebral blood flow. And so they had a group of men, and they divided them up and had them wear ties in 3 different ways. They had one group wear the tie but with a button shirt and all the way tight, like almost uncomfortably tight. Mm-hmm. They had another person wear no tie. And then they had a third group wear ties with a button-up collar, but the tie was loose.
Okay.
So they found that when they did this, and I was like, why would they have the loose one on there? Why wouldn't they just have a regular tie? Like, why wouldn't they have, because what about how somebody wears it regularly? But the results that came out with the loose tie would show you that even regularly, there's an effect too. So when they are wearing the tight tie, there's a reduction of 7.5% of blood flow to the brain.
Oh,
and when
my God.
this is the crazy part, when they wear it loose, 5.7. When the tie is just around their neck but not tight. So here's what I say that wasn't mentioned in the article at all, because these are only doctors who are studying the flow of the blood, but not really asking why it affects them. Do you think there could be anything related to how we think about ties and the role that ties play?
What?
That if you went in there thinking that a person who wears a tie is a businessman, and with a businessman's lifestyle comes a lot of stress and whatever it is, and you get into the mindset of somebody who wears a tie, I wonder if you'd get the same results from a culture that didn't have an association with ties and business.
Really?
Because explain to me the loose tie one.
I guess I'd need to know how loose.
Just open button shirt, all like undone, like how you'd loosen up a tie at the end of the day, so there's like almost a hand distance in between.
Did it say that distance though?
They said a button
you're
tie,
saying finger,
yeah,
like a finger.
like more, like it's loose, unbuttoned twice and then pulled down. Almost like what a heavy necklace I would imagine would be.
Right.
So I feel like there's another part to this.
Yeah.
But doesn't that surprise you? And then this is the crazy part.
Right.
When you find out what the side effects of having this like cerebral blood flow limited is, it's high blood pressure, increased likelihood of stroke, diabetes, all these things that we often associate with people who...
Like high stress
Yes.
business jobs.
So I'm
yeah.
like, oh my God, I wonder if is this like correlation? Is this causation? What's going on here?
That is really bizarre.
But I never in a million years thought that this would be an article that would come up and I would be like, it says, men's neckties may reduce blood flow to the brain and limit work performance, study suggests.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was an article that was in the Journal of Neuroradiology.
I mean, come on.
I know. Can you believe that?
Well, do women...
That they didn't what? Oh.
Well, like in those high-powered positions, do they have those same health effects?
Ooh, that's an interesting thing to know.
Like an increase of stroke and all that?
I wonder. Yeah.
Because then you could measure somewhat of the difference a bit. Because women tend to not wear ties, although I did go through a tie phase.
Really? You would look sexy in a tie.
I didn't.
Oh.
I looked so stupid, and I'm embarrassed about it.
Why?
Sarah, it was bad.
Oh, what kind of ties were you
What was
rocking?
I doing?
Were they like thin, thick? What, button-down shirt or no button-down shirt? It was a collared shirt?
Button down.
Okay, I'm into that. But then again, I would be. That makes sense.
Right, Sarah.
Susie, this study even talked about how like I said, it wasn't the first time that this was researched. There was another study that associated neckties with an increased risk of blindness because it created more fluid in the eyeballs.
Stop!
I swear.
Well, then it's not just what you're saying where it's like, oh, we think about it. No,
A
there is something
2003
going
journal.
on with these ties.
It said by measuring eyeball fluid in men before and after wearing a tie, researchers noted increased in intraocular fluid pressure inside the eyes, which is associated with one of the top causes of irreversible blindness, glaucoma.
Jesus.
And another study found that doctors' neckties in particular are a hotbed for disease-causing bacteria and other pathogens. We should definitely get rid of ties.
I agree. I've always felt that way just because they're
Except on you,
stupid.
Suze.
Yeah.
You're allowed.
Right. For 15-year-olds going through weird phases, it's fine.
You were 15 when you did
Yeah.
it? Was this like an Alex P. Keaton thing?
Kinda.
Okay. It makes sense.
But I've always felt like it's a weird noose-like,
It is.
symbol.
Like you're like strangled by the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what purpose does it serve?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it. And in the study, all but 2 men in the study experienced that drop.
Gross.
That was like the average.
Well, they
but all
certainly
but 2.
act like it. I mean, it's consistent with how I see their behavior. But they
We're
can't.
like, I know what this is. This is reduced cerebral blood flow.
That's what we'll call it. Take
Yeah.
your damn tie off, you weirdos.
And they'd also say it impacted creativity, this reduced cerebral blood flow.
I'd love to know who. I'd love to have seen the pitch meeting where someone was like, in fashion, I've got an idea.
Uh-huh.
That makes no sense at all.
You know that noose we use? We're going to make one of those, but like tinier
wear it every day.
and cute.
Right. It's bizarre.
So weird.
Good story,
But,
though.
like, sexy. I like a guy in a tie.
Of course.
I know.
Of course.
I like a guy with reduced cerebral blood flow.
Yeah.
Just keep him dumb.
We'll take him. Right. It's better for our plan for
Oh,
matriarchy.
my gosh.
Okay, wait. Let's take a break, though, and talk about a service that people need, which is care.com.
Have I already mentioned that I used to work for them?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm just making
Yeah.
sure that people know this. Former employee here.
Yes. If you need a nanny or a babysitter, a housekeeper, a senior care, dog walker, whatever you need, they have people that are on the site that you can choose from, whatever meets your needs. And you can post a job, like if you're looking for somebody.
Yeah.
And then people can apply or whatever. You can place for errands with family time. You can, because like, let's say you hire a housekeeper. Then that's what they say improves quality of life, is if you spend your money on
the things that can help you with those kind of
Yeah.
things. Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, and families, are unpredictable. You never know what's going on, so you never know when you might need something like this. It's just really good to have an extra set of hands on demand when you least expect it.
I have a friend with special need who has a son with special needs, and she used care.com to find
that's cool.
someone who can help with that.
That's so great.
Yeah.
It's the largest digital marketplace for finding and managing family care, and you can find care for everyone in your family, including your pets. And it's just sort of like a one-stop shop for all those little jobs that you need help with. If you have a long day, the last thing you want to do when you're tired is clean. Quit pushing off the cleaning chores and hire a housekeeper instead. Or, you might, if your mom is older and they need help with the things around their house, or if you have a new baby.
Or if your dog is a troublemaker, right. And you need somebody to just come and train the dog.
Yeah.
That is also a thing they have on there. I just saying this story for a friend.
If you need help cleaning before your guests arrive or before a holiday, it costs less than you think to hire a housekeeper, with rates starting from $19 an hour. But like I said, I've used it for childcare, and Sarah was childcare.
I was a nanny on care.com.
To save 30% off a care.com premium membership, visit care.com/braincandy when you subscribe. That's 30% off a premium membership. Okay. Want to hear about some of the weird rules of the royal family?
Oh, yes. Remember we were talking about this, but we didn't, I said a quick Google search, didn't give me the results I wanted or something.
Yeah.
It's I want to know what the other ones are. I heard something about Meghan Markle not being allowed to wear wedges.
Yes, that's what I told you.
Oh, you did tell me that.
Yeah,
You did.
Because the queen hates wedges.
Why? I'm wearing them today. They're so cute.
They are so cute, but a lot of the things the queen hates, she associates with, lower class.
What if she were I hear wedge shoes cause ganglion cysts, so they're out.
That's just good sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the rules are based on the queen's arbitrary preferences that have to do with, class and weirdness.
Okay, so what else is what else are us peasants using that Meghan is not allowed
Meghan's
to?
not allowed to have anything with garlic.
What?
I like how we're saying Meghan, but I mean any of them. They're not allowed to have garlic at official events.
They're all vampires.
They can eat it at home, but they cannot because garlic breath is offensive. That's the reason.
Okay. She's trying to avoid any public humiliation. Is that what this sounds like?
Yeah, and the women have to wear pantyhose.
Okay, I'm out. That's just asking for yeasties.
Ew, is it?
Constricted area for all the time.
Yeasties.
No, I do not want to know what's going on in the queen's undercarriage.
Okay, they have to get blowouts, the women, 3 times a week.
I really heard you say something else for a second there. And I was like, good for them. Keeping it alive. Those lucky men. Blowouts. Got it. That doesn't sound like a rule as much as it's a luxury.
Right. I was like, okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, if you must. Although they were pointing out how because Meghan has quote-unquote ethnic hair, she needs to, maybe go under different... I don't know how it works, if that would hurt her hair to do too much, or maybe different rules apply. One weird rule is the game of Monopoly is forbidden.
There's a story behind that.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
They played one day, and you know the brother Andrew, Prince Andrew, who was married to Fergie?
Oh, yeah.
He was so competitive, or the
God.
family was so competitive that he then said no more Monopoly. Mm-hmm. And so that's ironic.
It does cause. Oh,
Given the English tradition of colonialism,
right.
But yeah, they're not allowed.
Maybe
to
it's like too close to home. They're like, oh, this reminds us of.
play. Our history.
Oh yeah. Oh.
You would think like they would be really bad at taboo. Although maybe they'd be really good because they have to be real careful about their words all the time.
Oh, they would. Oh, so they wouldn't accidentally
Yeah.
say the wrong word, but they would make no associations
Yeah,
that
they're
were
too-
like that.
yeah.
The other like
Person.
common folk would. They'd be like, oh, you know that thing that when we were in the south of France.
Yeah, true. They'd have to only play with each other.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay.
They have to wear natural makeup, and they are not allowed to wear false eyelashes.
Good.
A lot of people were surprised that Meghan Markle looked very natural at her wedding, but that's probably why.
She had to.
Yeah, rules are rules. They are always required to travel with a black outfit in case somebody dies while they're away and they have to go to a funeral last minute.
That is the most depressing rule. You're basically always ready to mourn.
Yeah.
That's sad.
And then when they're away, also like traveling to other places, they're not allowed to eat shellfish because there's a higher risk of being poisoned.
Oh.
I think they mean food poisoning, but
Yeah.
I think saying poison
Yes,
sounds
way more fun.
What do you think about those?
You know, some of them I can get behind.
I don't like anybody telling me what to do.
I definitely don't like that. But I mean, no garlic at a party is just not the worst thing.
I disagree.
Oh, of course, I do like a good twisty garlic bread.
Yeah, and like if everyone's eating garlic,
I mean,
then
if they're
it's
at the
fine.
Olive Garden, they are fucked.
That's why. Can you picture them at the Olive Garden? Have you seen the
Of course,
video
they'd be
where?
fucked at Red Lobster, too, since they can't have the mercury.
Yeah, and
Or
they'd
whatever
be
they're eating.
just
Mollusks.
diving into those Cheddar Bay biscuits
Yeah,
only.
Yeah.
Did you see the video where people say that Meghan Markle has developed an English accent?
Oh, that happens, and I believe that they do, and there's a name for it. It's what happens when you're a person who's empathetic and you're around people. I hang out with Kenny Santucci too much, and all of a sudden I'm born and raised in Jersey.
Right.
I'm like a missing member of The Sopranos.
The article that I read was talking about what you're saying. They call it accommodation and convergence.
Okay. Yep, there you go.
And that it's usually unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
They said that, it's basically called the semester abroad accent.
I got one when I did a semester abroad. Like but certain things.
Well, yeah, and something in the article you claim happened to me.
Yes, you do.
Which is that you may not pick up the pronunciation of the word, but you pick up the melody of their speech.
You go up at the end like a question almost.
Yeah. Like when
we gonna do
talk
this?
to Lincoln. Yeah, mostly. It'll be
Do
like,
you want some water?
yeah, are we going
Instead
out
of,
tonight?
Yeah, are we going out tonight? Instead of, are we going out tonight? See how it's different?
It's just a different melody.
Yeah.
And it is contagious.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not on purpose. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to sound like Adam,
No,
for sure.
it's just like what you do when you're around somebody and
Yeah, and it makes sense that if you did have greater empathy, that it would be something that was
Mm-hmm.
more likely to happen. Although, one of the most famous examples is Madonna, and I don't think of her as someone who has empathy. I think of
You're
her
right.
as pretentious.
I am kind of narcissistic.
So maybe hers was intentional.
Yeah. Yeah, because hers was it's a different. Hers really sounded like a British accent on every word.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like somebody who just, you're like, hey.
Picked up the cadence.
Yeah.
Well, did you see the video a while ago, maybe over a year ago, of when Lindsay Lohan developed that weird, I don't know what it was, accent?
No. What is she up to?
She lives in like Qatar or
Oh,
something.
yeah. Oh, my God. I heard that she was like
There's a lot of
kind of
weirdness.
almost like a wife slave to some big like Saudi Arabian prince guy. Am I even close with any of this?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you seen him?
No. Is he gross? Do we have a harem situation on our hands?
I don't only know of her. Look him up because
Okay.
when
I
you
have to
look
look.
at a picture of him, you think this can't be. This had to have been photoshopped. Oh my God! But it's his actual body.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's like he's as tall as he is wide, but not fat. He's not fat. Wait till you see. I don't think they're not married.
Okay, boyfriend.
But I don't know if they're still together because I think there was a domestic violence issue. And he is enormous. And she developed this accent where it was so weird.
Not Igor.
It might be.
He's not too... There's somebody else.
Igor. Maybe it's somebody else. When you see him, you'll be like, oh, okay, I get it.
Saudi Arabia.
Anyway, she's a weird bird. Do you think she suffers from the Amanda Bynes problem?
No.
What? What's your theory?
I think it's... Amanda Bynes is definitely schizophrenic.
Okay.
Like, it's maybe not...
I think she was diagnosed
paranoid
with something.
schizophrenia, but it may be like schizotypoid personality disorder or something like that. It's like in that,
We're practically at the level of diagnostic proficiency that we could work at urgent care at this point.
That's true. Nope, that's not a spider bite.
Right. Your mom should open up an urgent care and we'll diagnose people for free.
Oh my God, that's
just
so
for
funny.
Fun.
Oh, I saw the picture of him. He's gross.
It's more than just gross. He's like, there's something weird going on.
Yeah.
That's not a human. Oh, are you sad about it?
No, I'm grossed out. But I'm trying to also think of what Lindsay Lohan. I think it has more to do with a... Like hers I would call maybe kind of histrionic or...
Just trauma, PTSD.
Yeah, it's just a result of having an upbringing that was kind of isolated and having to be too adult too fast.
Yeah, her parents are bonky.
And then I think it comes out in weird ways where you're kind of reenacting the childhood that you didn't have as an adult, but it comes out as weird, behaviors like,
developing
name it.
Fake accents.
Yeah.
Another
those
thing
are things that are kind of childish.
Yeah,
because that is a thing that kids do. I mean, also a thing that, like, I've seen videos of kids doing those things when they feel like anxiety in therapy sessions, or like weird voices will come out of them. They'll just change their voice a bit because it's almost a way to
disassociate.
Yeah, totally disassociate. Yeah,
Makes
and
sense.
it's like safer if I'm not me. I'm this person talking about this or whatever it is.
Another thing, by the way, that they talked about with the Queen that I thought was interesting was how I think we should all embrace this and do our own version. When the Queen's talking to someone that she doesn't want to talk to anymore, she does a signal with her purse that her bodyguards are like, oh, let's go over. And they are like, sorry, the Queen has to leave now. It's like the wingman thing.
We need a signal.
Yeah, we do. We can't tell right now. We should keep it to ourselves. But like, wouldn't that be awesome if anytime you were talking to someone that you did... Remember when I was at your house and I thought you had been cornered?
Yes, but really it was one of my besties from forever ago.
I always think if she's talking to anyone but me, she's like miserable. So I thought, should I go over and save her, or is she okay? And I thought, she's okay. She can handle it.
Yeah.
Because you could get out of it, right?
Certain people...
That's what I debated.
Certain people, I don't think I would be able to.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to... And I would have to know... I don't know.
I think a lot of couples do have signals, though, that like when they're going to a cocktail party...
The guys...
when you want to leave the party, you have like a mutual like.
Yeah. My signal is, yo, I'm leaving.
I always say I gotta hit the sheets.
Yeah.
Because I do. That's just the truth of it. Mm-hmm. That's why when we were at your house for that party, and it was like kind of wrapping up, and I was like, "Wait, do you want me to leave?"
I did not.
I know. But maybe you did. Really.
No, I didn't. I was so sad when you left. I was like, this was like the best because I felt like I got to like really hang out with Susie and chat.
Really?
And we were like cracking up, like to myself. I'm not sitting there. I'm talking to Milton about this. Listen, Milton.
Susie and I had a great time. Was Milton at the party?
Oh, he may have been.
We should check footage.
Footage! Oh, God!
So funny. We really should, though. We should look through.
I mean, there's got to be a picture with me with my legs crossed somewhere where you can like see. I feel like I would have noticed that. I mean,
I'm not convinced that it is a ganglion cyst.
Why? Because it definitely is.
What did you say was the reason they developed? No one knows?
Nobody knows.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. And there's a 13 to 20% chance that if you get it drained, it's going to fill back up. So really,
That's lower than I thought.
Right. And that's why I'm like, why don't we just go straight to surgery? And then she was like, well, I'm also going to inject it with a steroid, and this increases the likelihood of it not filling, or decreases the likelihood of it filling up.
Right.
Then I read an article that said doctors often inject it with a corticosteroid, but there's no known evidence that this is a evidence-based treatment.
They just want to charge for it.
And I was like, you just gave me a non-evidence-based treatment?
They want to charge the insurance for it. That's why,
Fuck.
Sarah.
Well, they charged me $0, so what?
Yeah, but I know.
I know. That's not good. That's not.
And who wants extra what do you call them? Injections?
I
Nobody.
didn't.
No, thank you.
So that was like, after I looked that up, I was like, oh, not evidence-based treatment?
Yeah, pshaw.
Yeah.
But what is that thing you love that's like, is it horoscope?
No.
Is it tarot?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like ghosts or psychics or something that you're like super into that I'm like, wait a minute. But she doesn't want that extra shot just in case.
Yeah, right? And you know what else I'm like, this is like so embarrassing to admit.
What?
But like, I like stones. Like those like.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm like into it. And there's something about
those.
coming home from being at a day at the clinic where I'm just deep in emotions with people and in their stories. And I've almost had to create... Okay, so I was like, feeling like, oh my God, I just have all these feelings and I can't get to bed at night and it's so like heavy and I need to like, you know, do something to center myself. And I got the suggestion from another therapist who's like, you know, an actual therapist, not like a student like me, who's like, yeah, you need to make a ritual. And even if it needs to involve like, you know, some rose quartz or some crystals or stones or whatever, or you can do like sage yourself. And I was like, oh my God, like hippie dippity stuff. I'm into it.
A lot of people do that with candles.
So I got to like do that. I do that with like, pick my stones and like put them by my bed and I like feel more centered and shit.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
And it has helped. And even if it just works in my mind, you know,
of course.
it works in real life.
I'm all for placebos.
Yeah, that's totally, yeah. Yep, 50% of the time. So it's working. I'm the 50%.
Okay, so I have two more things. First of all, we have an amazing interview coming up with Alice Bolin, who wrote our July book club pick called Dead Girls, Essays on Surviving an American Obsession. And it was such a great book. I loved it because she's an incredible writer, but she also unpacks this weird cultural obsession that we have with dead girls, particularly dead white girls, and the true crime stuff. And she talks about Twin Peaks, and she even talks about things like Britney Spears and Serial and reality TV, and writes all this stuff that's engaging but really makes you think about some of the cultural stuff that you consume. So that's coming up. I also wanted to remind you that if you're getting married, you need to make a free registry on Zola. They have it's a wedding website that you can create a profile in minutes, and you can register for hundreds of different brands and products that makes it super easy for your guests. But it's also really cool because they have these cute templates that you can use to tell your story of how you fell in love, and your guests have like a one-stop shop of like all the information about your big day, but they can also find group gifts and honeymoon packages and stuff that they can donate to instead of buying you a traditional gift. So it's really cool, and you guys need to try it because it's easy for you as the bride or groom, and it's easy for your guests who couldn't be bothered with having to deal with all the nonsense that is your wedding, even though it's the best day of your life. Okay, but to create your free wedding website on Zola, and it's free no matter which template you choose. It's not like the fancy ones are more expensive or whatever. You go to Zola, go to ZOLA.com/braincandy, and you can set that up. It's a free wedding one-stop shop. Zola, ZOLA.com/braincandy. Okay, let's welcome to the show a wonderful author. You need to read her book, Dead Girls. Welcome, Alice Bolin.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
What's been the reaction so far? What are people talking about?
I mean, I think it's been a really great reaction, and it's been really interesting because I feel like it's the way with any essay collection. It's kind of a cipher, like people sort of get out of it what they want to get out of it, kind of, or they see in it what they're interested in, which I think is a good thing. So, people are asking me. Some people really like the stuff in it about witches, and some people want to ask about Los Angeles, and some people want to ask about reality TV, and then a lot of people want to ask about the stuff about crime and true crime in the book, which I think has been cool. It's been interesting to see all of the different kinds of stuff people get out of it.
Yeah, I was shocked at how all of those components work together. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I think as a writer, I feel I love to sort of try to put as much stuff as possible into an essay or, a collection or whatever, to try to see how much I can get away with. Like, that's kind of what I find interesting. I almost find it not to be enough of a challenge to sort of write about only one thing. I like to try to weave in different connections and threads, and see how all of it can work together.
Well, you did a great job. I was so impressed, and I'm really excited because our podcast book club is tonight, and this is going to be our July book club pick.
Yay!
Yay! I posted something on Instagram, and people kept messaging me like, "That looks so good. What is that?" So I know they're going to be into it.
Awesome.
Can you tell us what the Dead Girl Show is?
Sure. So, I think of a Dead Girl Show in a pretty specific way, even though there are kind of a lot of them, as sort of a show that begins with finding the murdered body of a girl. And usually it's a young white girl. And then, maybe the first season or that initial arc is about trying to solve her murder. And there have been a lot of different permutations of that. I mean, Twin Peaks is the most famous one, but then after that, and even especially in the past couple years, there have been so many more, like The Killing or Veronica Mars or The Night of, How to Get Away with Murder, True Detective, Pretty Little Liars, and even ones like Riverdale that kind of flipped the script. I think Twin Peaks has just been such an insanely influential show in terms of dictating like the structure of an arc of a season of TV.
And whenever you were someone who would watch these and had interest in them, and then at what point were you like, did it occur to you that there was more to it than just sort of, this is a great show or whatever?
Yeah, it's weird because I think Veronica Mars was the first one that I watched, probably, which is like, this cult show. I mean, I think it has such a huge following even still, but at the time it felt like, oh, is it even going to get a second season? It kind of was such like, I don't know, like it had such a fervent but very small audience, but I didn't really realize that it was in any other kind of tradition. I was just like, this show is fun to watch. And I think it wasn't until I was much older when I watched Twin Peaks and I watched Pretty Little Liars and I watched True Detective. I watched all of those shows kind of all in a row, and they're so different and they're for different audiences. But I realized, oh my God, these are all playing with the exact same symbols and tropes and kind of narratives. And I was like, I would make jokes about it on Twitter about Dead Girl shows. And then eventually, I wrote it like not a joke. Well, I actually was like, oh, this isn't a joke.
At the beginning, you talk about how you knew you wanted to call the book Dead Girls, but then you kind of unpack the decision to use the word girls. Why?
Right. I know. Well, I knew from the beginning that Dead Girls would be a good title. I was like, that's a great title. It's got a great hook. People will buy that book. Yeah. But it wasn't until like later on in the process that I realized like, well, are people just going to buy the book for the same reason that, they're drawn to this kind of misogynist violence? Am I playing on these same impulses that I'm criticizing? And even sort of it all goes to who gets to be a girl, I mean, a lot of the time we see, women who are in like their late 30s, if they're white and privileged, then it's like, oh, what a beautiful girl, where even, say like a poor Black teenager is not a girl, that's a woman, in terms of the ways that society sees and treats those people. So I think I was trying to think about sort of that privileged position of a white girl, even if the white girl is still kind of the target of violence and misogyny.
And why do you think it is the case, and obviously you explore this throughout the whole book, that a dead woman or a dead girl is more valuable than a living girl?
Right, a living girl. Yeah, I mean, I think that, it's like you speak in generalizations, or I have to, but where I feel like there's a level where a dead girl is not complicated. Maybe her story is complicated, or her history is complicated, or, what happened to her is complicated, but that is just a body. That is just a problem to be solved. And a dead girl doesn't want anything. She doesn't, do anything. And I think that there are lots of ways where that's how our culture prefers women to be, even maybe in a metaphorical way, someone who's silent, who's beautiful, and who kind of is alluring and mysterious. So I think there are some ways where living women are taught to act like dead girls. We are silenced in a lot of ways.
I felt like that a lot this week in particular.
Uh-huh.
I'm worked up about politics and stuff.
Sure.
And it felt like the right time to read your book because of that. And I'm sure that will continue. So I'm sure our book club readers will have that same feeling where it feels more pressing than ever.
Right. It's so funny because like when I sold the book, people said, oh, it's so timely. And that was 2 years ago, timely. And it's like, well, this is just going to keep being timely. It seems like, until our society is less violent and less misogynist. But yeah, it feels like these kinds of acts of everyday violence and oppression and terror, that all speaks to the kind of narratives that we kind of seek comfort in.
Well, and you say in the book that our interest collectively in the idea of these dead girls maybe is a distraction from the pain of being a living girl. Woman.
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of like, I'm interested in the ways that we use these crime narratives, which are so popular and only becoming more popular, either true crime or fictional, in order to sort of distract us from the bigger, crimes or more depressing crimes that we see every day, whether it's sort of like government corruption or, mass shootings or mass violence, things that we feel like, we feel more complicit in and we feel more powerless against. Where if we're more interested in, these more romanticized crimes like serial killers or, a dead girl who washes up on the beach and then we have to solve her murder, that feels more like something, out of that it feels like, yeah, it's a distraction and also it's an odd comfort because it's something that we can kind of solve. We can resolve in the end. We figure it out. Where corruption or, mass violence, those things have a solution, but we aren't willing to put them into place.
Right. What I was surprised to see in the book was the real world was discussed, which follows me everywhere. And I was interested to know why you decided to talk about reality TV in terms of like how did it fit into the broader picture?
Yeah, I think reality TV and MTV especially is a funny theme in the book, and it wasn't something I always knew that I was going to write about. But I think that going along with the stuff about Los Angeles in the book, it made a lot of sense because it had this sort of relationship to different kinds of narratives and different kinds of sort of artificiality that, you know, we relate to real life or we lay over real life, but that are not, you know, the real world is not the real world.
Right.
So kind of going along with different kinds of narratives that I'm interested in. But also as a kid, I mean, I grew up in Idaho and I was obsessed. You know, I watched MTV from morning till night. And I absolutely watched The Challenge. But so for me, that was like the first, reality TV was the first way that I knew about LA or about Hollywood. And then when I moved there, it was like, well, this is not what I learned about. This is not the same thing. So it's kind of a way of interrogating, you know, those myths that I had grown up, you know, consuming. And then as I was actually experiencing them, how they influenced my real life.
It's funny because when you moved to LA and discovered that it wasn't exactly how you imagined, I felt in the book like you pushed back against it, whereas I was like, I'm fine with this. This is great.
Yeah.
Like, I embraced the phoniness and the
Right.
idea that I was a character. That was all fine with me. But you were like, I don't know about this.
Right. Well, yeah, it's so funny. I mean, like, because I think that I have romanticized my life in so many ways. And when I moved to LA, the only way for it to be even doable was for me to think of myself as this like dark, you know, sad heroine, you know, in some book or something, because my life was so depressing and so boring. But yeah, I mean, that is kind of what I'm thinking about when I think about reality TV, is the ways that characters are constructed in these sort of narratives that are not quite real, but aren't quite fake either. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, thinking about the ways that reality TV shaped my upbringing is very odd to think about.
No, you and me both, sister. So do you feel like now, because you don't live in LA any longer, do you feel like a different girl or woman?
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
woman dead, the LA woman?
I hope so. I mean, I think that I was such an idiot when I moved to LA, and I write about that a lot in the book, to the extent of like, I didn't know how my car worked. I didn't know what way the streets ran. Like, I didn't know, like, Olympic. I was like, is that north south or east west? Like, I really could not figure anything out about the world, you know, and even about relationships and about my career or how to dress myself or anything. And I think that it really was sort of a trial by fire, where I did learn so much being there by myself. And I miss it a lot. But I think, yeah, it is a different person. Yeah, I feel like I am a different person now, and I'm a different writer. But I wanted a lot of the essays that are in the book I wrote at the time that kind of those experiences were occurring. You know, I started writing about LA the second that I got there. And I allowed some of those misconceptions to just exist in the book, and some of those early thoughts that I had about LA to just be there, because then I kind of correct them later. I want it to be a little bit of a chronicle of my life in LA, as well as being this critical stuff about crime fiction and reality TV and all that other stuff.
I really like that you did it that way, though, because you are kind of all of us, right? And so I mean, at least I saw myself through you, and I think most readers will. And yet you're talking about these things that we all consume, whether it's Britney Spears or cereal, podcast, or whatever. But then you're flipping it all around in ways I never even thought of that lyric, "My loneliness is killing me myself."
Right.
With Britney.
Well, I think also, like, that is part of my mission, was kind of to write sort of a memoir in criticism, where the stuff that I consume and read and listen to is a big part of my experience. My like IRL experience has a lot to do with the media that I surround myself with. So I think that's just as valid of, you know, a part of my story as, you know, the relationships I've had or the places I've gone or whatever. But do you feel like this is something I want to ask you, Susie, because I was just thinking about that. Okay, so like I, as kind of my own persona or the way I think about myself has so much to do with TV and with books and, you know, the characters that I'm drawn to or whatever. So do you feel like you're like, it feels like even more for you because you were actually on TV or you were a part of this whole machine? Like, do you feel like that, I don't know, the ways that you created your persona or that you think about yourself are influenced by your time on reality TV?
Yeah, and whenever you wrote in the book about how you watched it all the time, which I did too, and then you would like plot ways that you would go on there.
Right.
I did the same thing, except you were smart enough to not actually do it, whereas I was determined. And then when I was cast, I was so relieved when I was assigned a character. I was like, oh, okay, now I know who I'm supposed to be. And
Right.
it felt like a relief, even if I didn't really connect with that identity. It was like, oh, okay, now I know what everyone wants me to be.
Don't you think, like, I actually think about this a lot, especially kind of thinking about the 90s and the early 2000s when I was kind of growing up, the ways that we were really taught to sort of be like, I'm this one. Even like, oh, the Spice Girls, you have like, which Spice Girl are you?
Right.
You know, like that even as I was coming up, I knew if I wanted to get on MTV or, you know, I wanted to get on The Real World, I would have to have sort of a way to sell myself, or I would be like, I'm the nerdy one, or, you know, or whatever. Like,
yeah, you'd have to be a character.
I would even strategize, like, what character would I sell myself as being?
What would you?
Oh, God. I feel like, well, if I'm being realistic, I feel like it would have been like, she's the, like, loud, like, smart one, or, you know, like, kind of, yeah, like, I don't even know who on The Real World who would be. Well, because you would want to be one who's, like, funny and crazy.
You know who was good like that? There
was
a girl on Real World New Orleans named Melissa.
Melissa is exactly who I was about to say, but, like, I wouldn't have been Melissa. But that's who you kind of want to be, though.
We all want to be Melissa.
Because she's, you know, she's hilarious and so cute. And she always had, like, she was, like, doing stand-up comedy 24/7.
That's who you could be.
But I would have just been crying. I would have been like Amaya on The Real World Hawaii. I would have been crying all day, every day.
That's hilarious. Yeah, you would have been like, because you're too smart to go on the show. So you would have felt like you were in hell. So you dodged a bullet.
There always were characters who kind of ended up hating, like, who you could even tell really hated it and kind of didn't end up having very much airtime because
like
they hated
Irene,
it so much.
Even
Irene, yeah, or there was Justin. Is that his name? Why do I remember these things? Why, Susie? On The Real World Hawaii, who like would just like, or there were always the ones who were like, oh, he's at his boyfriend's house, or he like who just wouldn't even be at the house. I always found that so hilarious and interesting. People who like got on the show and then sort of decided to not really be on the show.
Right, they were in too deep.
Yeah, it's like, oh God.
Oh God, that's funny. And like I said, I did not expect to be reading about that, but your perspective on it was so helpful to me, and I think a lot of people will know exactly what you're talking about. And then in terms of like the dead girl narrative, I was like, oh man, this is deep. I've never read a book twice, but I'm going to read your book again.
Wow, really? I read I read books once so that I can read it twice.
No.
I prefer that. I would prefer to always just be rereading, but that's impossible. So
really?
I love to reread books. Yeah, that's part of why I kind of became a nonfiction writer, because it sort of gives me an excuse to reread my favorite books because I can write about them, you know? It's like I like always as a kid, I loved sequels. I was like, I know these characters. I'm comforted by this. I don't need to have a new story. I love to reread and rewatch.
I guess it makes sense. The familiar is comforting.
It
But I
feels
don't
good.
know. I always feel like I don't have time for that. But yours will be my first reread.
Susie, that's really means a lot to me. It really does.
Here's what I want to know. We ask everybody the same thing at the end, which is, what do you keep in the trunk of your car? Do you have a car?
Oh, I do have a car. Yes. My car, it used to belong to my parents, and it still has like lefty librarian bumper stickers all over it. And it says like, I love Obamacare and stuff like that.
That's so great.
Actually, so it used to be because I was so itinerant. I used to just keep like a bunch of like boxes of like books and clothes and stuff, like as if I was going to like move at any time. But now I'm really pretty settled in Memphis, Tennessee. But what is in my car, my trunk, is actually really embarrassing in a way, because at one point when my boyfriend and I were long distance, I became very lonely and signed up for all of these magazine subscriptions. Like I got like Vogue and Vanity Fair and GQ, and I never looked at any of them. I get them in the mail and I don't read them, and I throw them in the trunk of my car because I keep thinking I'll take them into work and give them to my students or whatever. So my car is just like riddled with like weird reading material that I haven't.
Why don't you read them?
I don't know. It's kind of like what you were saying, where it's like, I don't have time, but it's like, of course I have time. Like I look at Twitter like 20 all day. Like I could have just been reading a magazine, but I don't know. It's some like, that's kind of why I feel ashamed of it. I'm like, maybe I'll look at that someday. That Meghan Markle Vanity Fair. I'll read it.
By the way, since you brought up your folks, do they enjoy, or the?
Yes.
They've been
I will
covered.
say, I know. Well, yeah, my dad. There's a long essay in the book about my dad that was very personal, and I was a bit worried about whether he would take it well. And I let him read it. I let him read it early, and I let him give me, notes about it, and he still is giving me notes about it, but where he's like, actually, you did not get the name of that one book correct, and I emailed you about it months ago. But he loves it, and he's totally like, I mean, that's part of who he is. He's not embarrassed or ashamed of himself or who he is. And so he just thinks it's like fun, and he feels like he's my muse. And he was at the book launch and everybody wanted to say hi to him.
Yeah, I'm very drawn to him. He's an interesting character.
I mean, he's a wonderful dad. And I think the essay, people are very charmed by him. So he loves it. He was wearing his Veronica Mars t-shirt to the book launch, so everyone would know who he was. Adorable.
I love it. So, okay, last thing for real. Do you feel like there's anything that you thought people would ask more about, but then they aren't? Maybe Joan. Do you wish they were asking more about
people
Joan?
People aren't asking me as much about Joan Didion. I mean, and also just sort of like, I feel like the book, a lot of it is about, it sort of meta about writing and about the ethics of writing nonfiction. And I feel like most people, but I also feel like if people aren't asking about it, then it's probably not very interesting to them. So I'm like, well, fair enough, Because
I want to ask about Joan, but it feels like too fancy. And so I feel intimidated.
Well, people haven't been asking me that much about reality TV, actually. Well, some people have been asking about the bling ring, but and I could talk about reality TV all day. So this is a
good fit.
Good fit. Well, yeah, when my publicist asked, like, do you want to do this? I was like, 100% yes, definitely.
I wish my co-host was here, Sarah. She's coming later today, but she's going to love this book, and you guys are kindred spirits, so you should meet someday.
Yeah, definitely. I'm interested.
Anyway, you're off the hook. I really appreciate you talking to us, and I can't wait to hear what our listeners think of your book.
Yeah, thank you so much. It really means a lot. So,
congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Susie.
You too. Bye.
Okay, bye.